Hey everybody, welcome back to X-Plane 11. I am Bill, and today I wanted to show you guys FSEconomy. Um, Many of you may have seen this in action, may have it, or have at least heard about it. I just recently set it up. I've had an account for a really long time and just haven't had the time or the motivation to get it set up. So I finally got it set up. I've tested it out a little bit and just wanted to do a brief summary of it for those of you that either haven't heard about it or are thinking about doing it and want to see kind of the basics of what it entails and what it's like to use. So it's kind of touted as a new way to use a flight simulator, and it works for X-Plane, Flight Simulator, P3D. So it's got some, cross-platform capabilities, which is really nice. It's free, which is obviously cool. But what it does is it essentially introduces an economy into the flying that you do, so you're not just flying with no purpose. It gives you actual jobs to do with your plane, and you carry out those jobs. You make money. You use it to, you can either start your own airline, start your own cargo company. You can join an existing airline or cargo group. So there's a lot of different things you can do to kind of expand your flight simming. So what I'm going to do is first show you the website here. So once you've got it all set up, which admittedly does take a little bit of time, there's some extra plugins, there's some goofy stuff you have to do, but it is all very clearly laid out if you follow on the FSEconomy website. So everything's laid out. There's just a handful of steps you got to do. So here is the home screen, and just has some news updates and basic information. So to start, what I've found to do is first go to airports. So we're at John Wayne, so I'm just going to search for John Wayne, click go, and it brings up all the available flights for John Wayne, as well as all of the available planes at John Wayne. So all I have to do is look for a flight. So I'm just going to search for distance. We want to do a pretty short one. So let's do Brackett Field. This is an airport that I know, for reasons that you may not realize. It's not a fan. Not connected to aviation though. Okay, so click to add to selected assignments. So if we go over here to if we go over here to my flight, we can see that here is our $549 transport of 3 land surveyors from John Wayne to Brackett Field in Laverne. So, but we have no airport or no aircraft selected. So I just go back to this screen, and I have my Piper Arrow loaded up. So I just basically have to find one that is available to rent. So here's one. I haven't figured out what that means. I think it's either due or something. I don't know. I've only done this a couple of times just to kind of get a feel for it. So haven't figured out all of the little icons. But I want to rent this wet, which means obviously it's going to be full of fuel. So there is my rental. Now I go back to my flight, and we've got our flight here, and we've got our aircraft here. So that looks good. That's all you got to do. So now I go back to our sim, and I am going to actually just do a quick startup here because I don't want to waste any time starting the plane up. So just do our Control Shift E, and we are live. Let's get that pointed here. Okay, so Okay, so once you're in the plane, and you can do this either before you started it, after you start, it doesn't matter. But we're going to go up to plugins. We're going to go to FSEconomy and open FSEconomy. And I'm going to log in. And we're logged in. And just click Start Flight. And it automatically loads the plane with fuel since we rented it wet. Your flight has started, 22 gallons of fuel on board. And just enjoy our flight. Okay, so now let's get this thing. I think I might actually have it already loaded in here. No. Okay, let's start from scratch here. And we're gonna go to, what is it? Kilo Papa Oscar Charlie bracket field. Accept. Shoot. And we're going to activate leg. Man, that fuel pump is really loud. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys, but it is buzzing in my ear. Okay, so now that we have our flight loaded and we have the plane started, we can just go. So it really is up to you how real you want to make it. So I kind of put the plane in the cargo area, which our cargo is human beings, so that isn't totally accurate, but you know, if you are flying out of an FBO, you can park next to that. You basically just have to start the flight on the airport premises, essentially. So you can do it on the runway. If you can do it as you're holding short or doing your run up. It's totally up to you. And that's kind of the cool part about FSEconomy, is it does add that kind of purpose realism layer to it without being like overly restrictive with what you're doing, because this is still supposed to be fun, whether you're using it for, you know, real life pilot training or not. It still should be fun to do. So, and the few flights that I've done so far, it forces you to fly the airports that you normally wouldn't, and even if you would, it gives it a little bit different purpose. And there's actually a caveat too of which airports you fly to, which I'll explain once we get to Bracket Field, which is just 25 miles, so it's a really quick flight. And I am just going to put one notch of flaps down, and I am not going to worry about holding short. We're just going to go for it. Okay, turn on to 20 left. Get her straightened out. Okay. A little crosswind. Airspeed's alive. There's 55, 60, 65, 70, and we're up. Gear up. Flaps up. And I am going to do a big no-no at this airport and cross over the commercial runway. Just a little shortcut. Gotta love those X-plane reflections at 3 FPS. Okay. Again, you can take this as seriously as you want or not. and you could go through all your checklists. You can take your time, or you can spawn your airplane at the end of the runway with the engines running and hop in it and take off and floor it all the way there. This does take into account fuel burn, so and time as well, because this rental is done by the hour, like it would be in real life. The longer you take, the less money you make. And that timer starts when you start that flight. And something to consider as well. So if you want to start that on the tarmac as if the passengers or the cargo is loaded in, you could do that, or you can, basically wait until you're holding short on your runway, start the flight, and you'll only be charged the minimal amount. And instead of dragging this thing, I'm just gonna keep it going. We can go a little faster than 100. And I could try to keep this thing from climbing. It really is a pain in the butt to keep trimmed. Which I have heard and will shortly find out for myself that the real airplane is a little tricky to trim as well, so not a huge deal. Still climbing out, coming up on 1,700 feet. As the sun sets. And I'm just going to hand fly this. I'm looking at the magenta line here. We'll just stay kind of close. This airport is very close. And I think I may even still have the ATIS in here. Yep, I do. Let's just put all this stuff in here. Altimeter, I think I have that off. Okay, so arriving 26 left. It's pretty easy. I'm just going to hit that perfectly perpendicular. So, FSEconomy in the air doesn't do anything to your flight. You set it up before. It automatically, if you rent a plane wet, it will automatically do the fuel, which is really cool. You don't have to worry about how much fuel to take on board, so that's nice. And yeah, I mean, there's no interaction with it until we get to our destination. But again, it has that extra motivation. I'm not just doing a 25-mile flight just for fun. You can, and the more time you have to do longer flights, it'll start opening you up to more and more airports that you may have never flown to, and in some cases never knew existed. So I'm kind of excited once I get out of this kind of testing phase and learning phase with it to start venturing further and further out. The caveat is, which is kind of cool, when you're using FSEconomy, and you basically assign a plane type to a plane that you have in the simulator. So I've got this Piper Arrow. I've got, basically you tell FSEconomy that you have a Piper Arrow. So once it knows that information. Any Piper Arrow that you rent is its own plane. So it's still your downloaded plane. It's going to have whatever livery you choose. It's going to look and act exactly the same. But it has a specific N number. It has a specific maintenance history. Everything is maintained by FSEconomy for that specific plane. So if you, like the plane I'm in now, I don't remember what the N number was, but this specific Piper Arrow, once I land at Brackett Field, will be at Brackett Field until I fly someplace else from Brackett Field. So I cannot, if I keep flying out of John Wayne and keep using a different Piper Arrow, eventually there's not going to be any Piper Arrows to rent out of John Wayne. I'd have to go to either a completely different airport or one of the airports I flew to and re-rent one of the Piper Arrows that I left there. And that is pretty cool. I thought the first, when I was testing this out, I was trying to rent the plane and it kept giving me this error. You know, you don't have this airplane at John Wayne. And I was confused. I'm like, I'm sitting in it, what's the matter? And I realized that that specific N number was the one that I had previously rented and flown to another airport. So it forces you, again, to fly to different airports that you normally wouldn't have, and also fly back from there or fly to another airport. So, I mean, you can kind of hop around as much as you want. I mean, you can zigzag your way all the way up a coast, or across an ocean, or wherever. Or you can also just go down and back. So if you, like in this case, John Wayne to Brackett Field, I could keep doing John Wayne to Brackett Field, and that's my route. And I just keep doing that, and I'll, one flight I'm taking 3 surveyors, next flight I'm transporting a gourmet cake, next flight I'm transporting a business guy or a food tourist. They've got a bunch of little backstories and reasons to fly. So you can treat this however you want, and the more money you get, you can purchase an airplane with real prices. I mean, it's like $1 million for a plane. It's $270 for a Cessna 172. You can rent larger airplanes, you can buy airplanes. There's a bunch of cool stuff that you can do with that money that you accrue. So if you're learning how to fly and you want to have an extra layer of purpose and have some missions attached to the flying that you're doing, this is an awesome way to do it. It doesn't, the planes that you buy, you have to still have them downloaded in the sim. So you can't just make enough money to, purchase a, Cessna Caravan and then have that plane all of a sudden. You actually have to download it, and it's not saying that you can't use the plane that you've downloaded, but you can't use it within FSEconomy and make money in the FSEconomy economy without flying it attached to that plugin, if that makes sense. I probably said that unnecessarily complicated, but there's no restrictions to what you can do. There's only restrictions to what you can do within FSEconomy in order to make that fake currency. So if you want to fly your Beechcraft out of a certain airport that doesn't have any of those to rent in FSEconomy, you don't have to use FSEconomy. know that might sound kind of stupid, but you know, it's you don't have to use it. Light on here. Now I did. Oh yeah, I want to get the. This is where. That's where it is. Okay. Okay, so here is Bracket Field. We're coming up on Bracket Field right here, and this hill right here. I went. My college is. It's like right over here somewhere. I don't know exactly where I am, but it might be a little bit further back. So I played basketball, and we used to come to the hill basically overlooking the airport, and it was like a third of a mile, maybe a quarter mile, up this dirt hill, like super vertical. And we used to have to run up that 12 times every year, and it was absolutely disgusting. So every time I see Bracket Field or hear Bracket Field, I immediately think of that absolute hell that I had to go through. Like, multiple guys would throw up every year. It was crazy. Okay, let's get the gear down. And first notch of flaps. There's our nice little Bracket Field. There is Death Hill right over there. And now it's raining out. Nice. It's been raining on and off here for the last few days, and it's actually not supposed to clear up until after the weekend, which is a major bummer because I really wanted to fly this weekend and won't be able to. But fortunately in Southern California that doesn't happen too often. Okay. Not really paying too much attention to what I'm doing, unfortunately. I think this might be the first time I've seen rain on this. Actually looks pretty cool. Okay, where is our little runway? There it is. Alright, so that wasn't a terrible pattern. Just holding it right at 80 knots. We're going to overshoot it like crazy. Yikes. It's a little too ginger on that turn. It's exactly what it looked like the other day in rainstorm with let's not take out those power lines. In a rainstorm with the cloud breaks with the sun setting. It looks exactly like this. That's so cool. Okay, so that power line situation is a little bit weird. Apparently there's a nice little crosswind. Whoa. This is going to be a really terrible landing. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. That is fine, X-Plane. I apologize for how horrendous that was, but it's kind of in a rush. Even though you should never fly in a rush. But give me a break, this is a simulator. Okay. Let's turn it around. Okay, so in order to stop the, oh, and of course I didn't have the fuel pump turned off at any point in that. So in order to stop the flight, I have to turn the plane off and go back up to FSEconomy, open that up, and click finish flight. There it goes. Your flight is logged. Flight time 19 minutes, still 19 gallons of fuel on board. Lovely. We did that real quick. So we go back to FSEconomy website and we go to our log, and here we go. Santa Ana, bracket field, Piper Arrow, 19 minutes, 25 miles, earnings $46. Why is it so little? What happened? Income 0. Okay. Distance bonus $7. Total rent cost. Oh, I guess that cost me money. Interesting. Well, if we go back to the log here, you can see the other flights that I've done here. This was from John Wayne to Chino, or other way around, Chino to John Wayne. So income for 45, rental, here's the total rental fee, so it just kind of subtracts fuel, landing fee if there's any additional crew, grounds crew fee, tallies it all up, and you're good to go. And you can click on the map and you can see, let's do this one, and it shows you on a nice little map what you did. Pretty cool. So there you go, guys. That is FSEconomy. I recommend it. I mean, it's free. It's kind of, you know, a little bit of a pain to set up, but once it's set up, it just kind of always there. It doesn't take any frames. It doesn't really take any effort to use other than just setting it up ahead of time and click and go. So you can pair it with, you know, VATSIM or Pilot Edge or any airplane that you have, any region, any, you know, it's pretty all-encompassing in terms of interaction with X-Plane and fitting into whatever you're using the simulator for. If it's just for fun, do it just for fun. If it's, you know, something a little bit more serious, like, you know, pre-flight training, you know, it just adds another layer that you can kind of tack on to just hanging out in the sim, learning stuff. Yeah, recommend it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions on FSEconomy. If I don't know the answer, which is very, very likely, I'm sure someone else in the comments can answer. I will try to continue to learn as much as I can if you guys are interested in seeing some more stuff on FSEconomy. So that'll do it. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace.